Hi, you're listening to Survival Talk Radio with me, your host, Dan Shrigley. Come and learn survival. Hey guys, thank you for turning in. As always, I listen to music as I prep the show, and I figured out how to do my own intros instead of paying a service to. So I'm gonna get real creative and start making some really nice intros. Probably gonna do some Christmas ones and New Year's ones coming up in the next day or two. So we have had some tragic events happen with tornadoes that have hit Kentucky and other states. And when we have tornadoes of that magnitude, an F3, F4 type class, it's really hard to say preparedness is going to save your life, because sometimes in that kind of a situation, it is common sense that will save your life. Listening to the early warnings would save your life. If you live in a tornado-prone area, like Tornado Alley, and you know that storms are coming, that's not probably the time you want to have a good night's sleep. You know what I mean? Go to bed and wake up the next day and, business back to normal. At night you're going to have storms that creep up on you. And that's what happened. And practically destroyed towns, and destroyed a couple towns actually. But so it is nights like that where, one person, you might want to sleep in shifts. Kind of like when I was in the Army, we go out into the battlefield, we're pulling guard duty. We don't just all go to bed. We always have someone stay up and pull a guard shift for the safety and security of everybody else. Someone's always up and scanning and watching and checking out, the area, making sure that the enemy's not creeping in, or if we're just playing war games, that the pretend enemy is not slipping inside our wire. So at home, in the real world, you might want to have, someone, stay up, take naps and shifts and stuff during severe storms when you're prone to tornadoes, where a tornado could just come and wipe out your house, or it's wiping out your neighborhood, wiping out your community. So you want to have someone up and have sleep plans. Yes, you should prepare. Yes, you should have inclement weather bags. That means everybody has galoshes, everybody has hip waders, everybody has raincoats, everybody has rubber gloves, and everybody has the things they need to stay warm and dry. In the perfect world, you might want to have a inflatable raft that self-inflates in a matter of seconds, in case you ever need to float out, because a flood comes, unexpected flood. Next thing you know, you have 4 feet of water in your living room. You're going to want to be able to grab that emergency raft and float you and your family out of there, if that were to happen. But for tornadoes, they're kind of like the silent killer. You don't really know they're there till they're upon you, and then it sounds like a freight train is coming at you. But they do come out of nowhere, and they have had advances in technology on trying to predict tornadoes, what weather would cause them. It seems like you could kind of tell when you grow up in an area that might happen, but as we see, and not in most cases, because we have anywhere between 70 to 100 people that are expected to be dead from these tornadoes that have hit the Midwest, and it's sad. So, no matter preparation is going to go ahead and save your life. You can have whatever inventory you want, but all it takes is a big tornado come by and take that all away and then take you and take your life away or take your family. So, you need to have common sense and know, like, I need to have a place to go in case, we know tornado weather's coming, because I don't want my, to rely on the safety of the structure of my home is going to save my life. You would want to have a tornado shelter, and how are you going to know you need to flee into the tornado shelter if you're in your bed fast asleep? So that's why I'm saying during severe storms, people need to sleep in sleep cycles. They need to take turns taking naps. Like, you do 2-hour guard duty, and then I'll do a 2-hour guard duty or a 4-hour guard duty. But you just take turns sleeping. Both of you don't go to, if you're a husband and wife team, just don't go to sleep and put the children to bed and then wait until you hear some noise again, then get up, because then by that time it's too late. It's already on you. So, think about that. The whole idea is to mitigate risk, and sometimes mitigating risk is listening to early warning. Watch the news. Watch the weather before you go to bed, because there's no reason for, 100 people to die in a tornado. That's just bad business. And that's bad on the company for not just letting people go home. There comes a time where a business has to let a person, people go home, where safety is more, better than profit. Because now that warehouse, you have all these people that got injured, a couple people died. And you can't return those lives to those families that lost those lives. You can always go hire 12 more people later on down the road, but but the families aren't going to be able to replace them. And I know your company, you want to make a profit and all that, and you're a big corporation. So of course, you need to say, hey, look, go home to your families, stay safe, monitor the tornado. Because obviously their building wasn't safe. Part of it collapsed. You know what I mean? It got wiped out by the tornado, ripped apart and ripped to shreds. So, and that happened at churches, that happened in homes, that happened everywhere. So, law enforcement should have, when there's severe weather and it could be a tornado, they put spotters out looking for tornadoes coming anywhere near town, so that way they can sound the early warning alarm, because they have visual confirmation that there's a tornado headed towards town that's 3 miles, 2 miles, 1 mile, whatever, out from town, and it's coming, to give everybody a chance to get into a tornado shelter. When a tornado's coming at you, it doesn't move left and right. It's coming at you. It seems like it's standing still, but it just gets bigger and bigger. Excuse me. And so, there's urban myths about the sky changes color, turns green or purple, when there's a tornado coming. That might be due to static electricity charge. So, I've seen tornadoes in real life when I was in the Midwest serving in the Army and also traveling. But it was way off in the distance, and I was I was pretty much safe. But I did notice there was kind of like a color to the sky. It seemed kind of like maybe it was like a tint, like it was a tint, and it was either like, it might have been green, might have been blue. I couldn't really tell. Just I could kind of see a tint, but it was so far away, it wasn't very refined for me. But that, sometimes lightning, they call it like black lightning and stuff. It gets into the tornadoes because the heat, there's temperatures clashing inside the tornadoes. There's cold and hot air. And so that would, produce electricity. And you can get that. And I think that might cause a tinge to the color of the sky. So, adhering to the early warning, also knowing where your Red Cross facilities at, your FEMA facilities are at, how to get help, being willing and able, if you're able-bodied and not injured, to turn around and become a rescuer. That's a big thing. If you did have inventory, keeping your inventory in a safe location, is always smart. Not in a weak structure, like a house. We all know a house isn't a strong structure, right? When it stands up to a tornado, it's a weak structure. It's going to get ripped apart. So you're going to want to, put your inventory somewhere that is going to withstand a hit. And the best place always is underground. So, not everybody has the ability to make an underground tornado shelter or bunker, but you should know where one is at. If you have a community, your community should have tornado shelters for you. If you live in a gated community, the gated community, if it's in a tornado-prone alley, should all get together with all the homeowners and build a tornado shelter that's underground somewhere on that property, that's there for all residents to escape to, and it's big enough to hold all the residents and a few extra dependents per household. It's going to be a pretty big structure. It might be multi-level, you never know, but some place where they can go, where there is an inventory of blankets, flashlights. Maybe there's a requirement that each household has to submit certain items, and those certain items are stored there in wait in case you ever need them. Then you just go grab your household box or open your household locker, and then you got everything you need: rain gear, gloves, eye protection, rubber boots, hip waders pants, just stuff to help you stay dry, and also keep you warm, and and there's your supply of food in there for you. If I was running a gated community or a very close knit community, I would require, if you want to get into this tornado shelter, of course we're not going to turn anybody away from it, but if you want to get into here, you have to register your pets, and then you also need to bring in inventory and stash it there in case you ever need it. It's there for you. It's yours. No one else can take it. It's it would put a little cage, lock it in a box, whatever, but that's for you. But I would have organization. That would just be how I do it. That way everybody in that community is protected and everybody pitches in on it. Even and then there's the the charity box. It's like these are for the people that show up that just happen to get here, that didn't pitch in, but we're not going to turn anybody away because we don't want anybody to perish or get injured or whatever. So you don't want to turn people away if you can, but at least the neighborhood, the homeowners, they could pitch in. I mean, that just, to me, those kind of things make sense. And there's a way that everybody can, they meet a certain inventory requirement, and that's carry them through for 60 days, 30 to 60 days, 90 days, because it does take a while for aid to kick in. It doesn't just kick in within 12 hours. All of a sudden there's a bunch of aid there. Politicians have to start requesting it. The governor has to get with the president and all that stuff. It takes a while for first responders to come in, and if your first responders firehouse got hit or the hospital got hit or whatever, or they might need first responders, you know what I mean? So the first responders could be also unable to render aid because they're also in distress. So it's going to be relying on outside first responders to come in. So we need to think on a bigger picture and how to mitigate risk. And the first way to mitigate risk is extraction. Egress from the location if you have time to. It's kind of like a hurricane just doesn't show up out of nowhere. They know a few days ahead of time that there's one brewing in the Atlantic Ocean, and it's on its way up to the Gulf or up the the Atlantic coast, and it's probably going to hit North Carolina or Florida or whatever, but they have some kind of advance notice. We don't always get that with tornadoes, but if you know there's a big weather system coming and you're in a tornado-prone alley, that is kind of your advance notice that, hey, look, there's a storm coming this way. There's a potential for tornadoes. If I don't want to be killed in one, and it could potentially develop to be a big class tornado, like a F category or F4 or F5, whatever, or even some of the smaller ones are pretty deadly. Maybe I want to get out of the area. Maybe it's time to go visit my aunt. So, you know what I mean? So you want to get out of the area if you can. It's always better to come back to a destroyed house than you getting killed. You know what I mean? And hopefully your house isn't destroyed, and then you can get back as soon as the storm is over. But yeah, you're going to want to leave the area if possible. You can get pretty far in 3 hours driving in a car. You can, and usually when the storm's coming, a couple of days ahead of time, hey, there's a storm coming. So it's like the tornado is a silent killer, but in a way it's not, because when inclement weather's coming, because they'll be telling you for the next 5 days we're going to have heavy rains and chances of tornadoes. So there is kind of an early warning with tornadoes. It's just that there's not a precise early warning saying, as soon as a tornado forms, the alarm goes off. It usually has to be spotted on radar, or it has to be spotted by eye. But there is a way to use some common sense to mitigate your risk, and use that common sense to know when to, escape. So sleep plan, inventory, using common sense, looking into the early warnings. Those are all things that, could save lives. And I've gotten into great depths about tornadoes and stuff on my blog. I've written articles about it. I think I've recorded some radio shows in the past about tornadoes, and hurricanes. And it just happens to be that, if everybody in the world listened to my radio show when it comes to tornadoes and hurricanes and stuff, and they all paid attention, they would save their life. They would kind of be like, yeah, listen to Dan. He told me this. And maybe, I'm going to listen to him and take his advice. But unfortunately, I don't have 335 million Americans that listen to my station yet. Hopefully, one day that could happen. That would be pretty impressive to get 100% of America. But right now, I'm just looking for the people that want to listen and hear the advice, hear the common sense and the reasoning in my voice, and let you know, hey, inventory is great, but common sense is what saves your life. So being prepared is great. But no matter how much you can be prepared, you can have that inventory taken from you. If we are in civil unrest, you can have a larger armed force come in and take your inventory from you. No matter how armed you are, if it's just you and your wife and in a family member fending off your house and trying to protect your inventory during civil unrest or riots, or maybe Totawaki happens, the end of the world as we know it. That's the acronym for the end of the world as we know it, Totawaki. Or shit hits the fan, which is SHTF, shift. That's fine. But if a larger force comes in that has arms just like you, but more numbers of people, and they really want your inventory, they're going to take it. And, you're going to end up dead over your inventory. So I always say it's better to cache your inventory. An inventory buried into 50-gallon drums underground, into airtight, watertight, sealed containers, buried, 3 feet, 4 feet underground, under a marker, a landmark that only you know about, along an egress route to a safe location. That's smart, because then you can always just go by your landmark, pick up your cache of inventory, and pick it up as you go along, or go to your safe site, and then once you get there, go to the nearest landmark, cache, and then pick up your inventory, and then you can collect that along the way of the route, or whatever. It's there's ways to protect your inventory and not carry it on hand in one location. An inventory in one location can be stolen. Inventory spread out over a large area, especially if it's cached, the chances of that getting stolen, slim to none. And you don't have to worry about criminals confiscation. You don't have to worry about law enforcement confiscation. And also remember, never carry any dollar amounts more than $10,000. Carry less than $10,000 in cash if you're going to carry cash, because they have that forfeiture where they can come in and take your money from you, and it's a government forfeiture, because they can take, if you have anything over $9,999.99, they can legally come in and take it without any real cause, and I'm totally against that forfeiture, government forfeiture. It's not cool, because some people, they don't trust banks. They don't trust it. They don't want to put their money in it, and they keep cash. And I've seen many times through news articles and even on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and stuff, where I've seen stories about people having their life savings taken from them, and they didn't even commit a crime. They were never even charged with the crime, but the police took the money because they can. It's called a civil forfeiture, and I'm totally against it. Law enforcement comes in, and then whenever they claim civil forfeiture of you, they get to keep a certain percentage of that money. That's why they're motivated to do it, and they don't mind screwing you out of your money. And it's not like they have to prove you are using it for trafficking or anything like that. If you're a trafficker or a drug dealer, of course I support you losing your money, because you shouldn't be a drug dealer in the first place. But if that's your life savings and you're a retired military guy who just doesn't put his money in the bank, he likes to keep it in cash, then I suggest, instead of putting it in cash, put it into silver and gold. And you should never carry that kind of money with you in the first place, because you're going to get carjacked. You're going to get stopped by the cops one day, and you don't know if they're going to plan to confiscate it, because they're going to be wondering what all this is, But cash, they can definitely confiscate cash. I don't know if they can confiscate silver and gold. I'm assuming they can, though. It depends, but I think it's better to carry silver and gold, and just don't carry large amounts of it. Move a little bit at a time. You can make a couple trips if you have to, but that's not what you're going to want to do during a crisis. You're not going to worry about civil forfeiture during a crisis, during a severe storm. But tornadoes have flying debris, so I would encourage, if you live in Tornado Valley area, that you need to, sorry, I had to run the heater here. I would encourage you to, buy a Kevlar helmet, buy ballistic eyewear, goggles with clear lenses on it, because you're not going to want to run around in sunglasses at night. But you can get ballistic eyewear that's got clear lenses. I know Oakley sells them. I know Wiley X sells them, and that will protect your eyes from flying debris. Because you don't need sand, you don't need splinters, you don't need little tiny particles flying in the air at 150 miles an hour, hitting you in the eyeball, and then while you're trying to get to where you're going, you're going to want to wear gloves. You're going to want to have maybe waterproof gloves, if it's severe rain, but you're definitely want to have at a minimum protection for your hands and your feet, and boots, warm socks. You can always tie a plastic bag over your legs and zip it real tight, tape it down, tape it around your legs so you don't get air in there and you don't get, water, and then kind of like you're walking around with the water balloon. You want to tape it around your legs and stuff, but you can make a makeshift waterproof leggings, and you just need 100 mile an hour tape or duct tape or whatever, or Gorilla tape, and then you just tape it around down your legs, not so tight it cuts your circulation off, but tight enough where it stays up on your leg, and then also tight enough so it doesn't fill up with water and air, and it's uncomfortable. But that's a trick that I learned from a homeless man. He would put plastic grocery bags over his socks and tape it down around his ankle over his pants, and then he would put his tennis shoes on, and he didn't care if his shoes got wet because his feet were always staying dry because they had a plastic he had plastic over his foot. It's just just a way. But obviously hip waders, commercially produced hip waders would be the best for you. But you have to make do with what you got, and you can't go wrong with a hefty lawn and garden sack. You know what I mean? So you can make a makeshift raincoat with it. You can make a hoodie with it. You know, it's a great tool to have in your survival kit, is the lawn and garden hefty sacks with a roll of 100-mile-an-hour tape, duct tape, or Gorilla tape, you know. But you want to have that in your kit. You want to have a reliable flashlight that's waterproof. You know, you're going to want to have extra batteries for the things that you have that have batteries. Keep all the different sizes of battery. It's nice to have rechargeable battery flashlights and stuff like that. That's fine. You know, if the cell phone tower goes out, you know, go pick you up some two-way radios. So you and the other, you know, your party, pick up 4 of them, pick up 5 of them, whatever. They're really inexpensive, but go pick up some two-way radios and always keep them in your glove box. You know, keep them in your backpack, your bug-out bag, and that way each backpack in the family should have one of those two-way radios ready to rock and roll. All they have to do is take the tape off the battery, because you want to put new batteries in there, and you put tape on them so they don't drain, and then you just remove the tape off the metal connections, and then you just slip the batteries in, and now you guys have radio communication in case the cellular tower goes out. You know, maybe you don't have cellular phones. You know, some families can't afford it. It's out of their budget. But you have two-way radios. You can stay in touch as long as you're within 2 to 5 miles range of each other. You'll be in touch, and you'll be amazed at how valuable those two-way radios could be, especially if you have to separate from one another. Keep an area map, you know, because when devastation happens, you might not be able to rely on your cell phone for maps and GPS. You never know. Cellular towers could go out. You know, so keep an area map, a paper map, a Thomas guide map or something, and run some photocopies off and put it in a protective laminate, you know, or at least a sheet of plastic, you know, something. But if you can, get it laminated. Go to Kinko's, go to FedEx copy store, ask them if they can laminate this map for you. And then put a copy of this map of your local community in there, because when you have devastation happen and all of a sudden like a tornado comes through and wipes out structures, all of a sudden it's easy to get lost there, because you used to rely on certain structures that are no longer there for your bearings. You know, so you want to have a map, so at least you kind of know where you are on the map, and you can tell topographically by doing a little map recon of where you're at on the map and stuff, and you can mark which avenue you took, and you know, you can use a dry erase pencil or a pen or whatever, not pencil but pen, you know, and or get a grease pen, which they use grease pens in restaurants a lot, but it's a black pen, and you can draw with it, and you can wipe it off and keep using it, and it doesn't matter if it gets wet, it's still gonna work. So a grease pen is pretty good. A grease pencil. Yeah, so, you know, it's thinking outside the box that's going to save your life. Or listening to early warning signs, which is going to save your life. But it's a travesty when we lose so many lives that, in my opinion, when I'm looking at it, there could have been so many things done that could have prevented it. There's so many things that local government could do to prevent that. And the early warning signs is when the meteorologist on the news is reporting that a storm is coming. You know, so when a storm is coming, especially if they're anticipating a severe storm with heavy rain, you know, that's when law enforcement and firefighters need to go on tornado watch, you know, in the communities. And as soon as they see something coming into town, that's when they sound the alarm and let everybody know to hit their tornado bunkers, the tornado shelters, you know, and shelter in place. Get to your local shelter. Everybody should know where the shelters are, you know, and it's unfortunate if there's not enough shelters. So what they ought to do is teach the community, you know, we don't have enough shelters in our community for everybody, but we have found and chosen with experts what places to go that will offer you the best protection, like this freeway overpass. This, you know, this location over here is all cemented in. It should keep you out of the way of the path of a tornado. It's just places you can go to egress. They should be pre-plotted, pre-planned, and advertised on billboards. This is where you go if there's a tornado. There's got to be a system where we can save lives. Think outside the box. Get the government online to do it. Get the local business owners online to help with that. If it were me, I can't be in every community. I can't. It's impossible. But I can be in everybody's radio. I can be in everybody's cell phone. And I can give ideas, and I can get people thinking outside the box and open their minds up to what could be done differently next time. And that's the whole thing about being a leader. All right. How do we save lives, and how do we get everybody on the same sheet of music and thinking outside the box and looking for ways to save lives? And, because I just explained, an inventory is great, but it could always be stolen from you. It could be taken from you. A tornado can rip it up and send it up into the sky, and you'll never see your inventory again. And it's as if you never prepared. So we can't get complacent, people. We need to think how to hide our inventory. We need to start thinking about how to, escape when there's severe weather and where to go. Do I have a place that I can plan ahead? Hey, it's better for you to get into your car and drive 3 hours out of the storm where there is no storm predicted, and just ride it out there. Sit in your car, bring a sleeping bag, bring an overnight bag, bring a propane stove with you. Bring some extra water and a thing to heat some water up, man. And, just camp out in your car till the storm goes by. And if the storm doesn't come, then great. Turn around and drive back. But at least you're out of the area. At least your family's not getting killed. 100 people or more being killed by one tornado or one storm system. Can you imagine? That is horrific. That's a horrific way to go, being snatched up by a tornado and thrown into the sky somewhere. I can't even imagine how scary that was. It's got to be so scary. Or having building fall down on you, and you're being, crushed, and you survived, but you're looking to the left and right of you, and they didn't survive. That's horrible. That's so horrible. My heart bleeds for that, for those people that just went through that. It's a shame. I've done radio shows about how to survive active shooter scenarios. What you got to do. I've gone into detail. I've written blogs about it. There's so much that we can do by seeking knowledge ahead of time. Knowing what to do. And I've put the content out there for what you should do and how to do it. The industry standard content. I don't just make stuff up. I give you the industry standard. I always make sure I know what I'm talking about before I talk about that. I'm a SME on it. I'm a subject matter expert, SME. All right, subject matter expert on anything I tell you. All right, ever on any show. Okay, so or any article I ever wrote. Okay, you can take it to the bank that I'm qualified to give you advice and coach you and mentor you on what to do. You can take it to the bank every time. It doesn't matter if it's survival related, military related, or security, or whatever, okay, or running a business or making money. That if I'm telling you how to do it, it's because I've done it, okay? Not because I read about it, not because I know a friend that does it and I watch what they do. No, that means I've done it. I've physically done it, and I, got great results. It's always that way. It will never not be that way. And it's just that's just what it is, but it seems like in Travesty, we do pull together as neighbors, and we should keep that up. We should pull together as neighbors, not only when it's not a travesty, but all the time, and everything, it's like, it should just be in our esprit de corps. It should be our foundation that we help each other. We're good Samaritans. Americans are good Samaritans. Unfortunately, America's so politically divided. We have the number one sin in the world is selfishness. Because selfishness is the cause of all sin. Why'd you kill her? I'm guarantee you it comes all the way down to selfishness. Why'd you rob that bank? Selfishness. Why'd you hit her? Why'd you beat your wife up? Selfishness. Why'd you abuse your kids? Selfishness. Almost everything comes back to the word selfishness when it comes to sin, because you have to be selfish to sin. And I hope you think about that. If you're sinning, it's because you're being selfish. And you might not believe in sin. Might not be a person that believes in God, but you should instinctively know good and evil. All right, right from wrong, legal versus illegal. You should know that. So, you should know, those kind of values. Whether you believe in God or whatever deity that you believe in. I believe in Jesus and God myself. But I know not every listener is religious, and to each their own. I as a Christian, I hope that you come to know the Lord Jesus, and I'll leave it at that. But if you don't, hey, that's on you. I'm not here to talk about converting people. I'm here to talk about survival, security, law enforcement, military, and stuff like that. So, if you are going to get into doing inventory, have an inventory for the home. Have an inventory for your backpack, your bug out bag. Have an inventory for your egress location. Have an inventory for your vehicle. And then cache your inventory. You might keep the stuff that you want to use immediately at the house. But you might want to double up or triple up. Because if you have all your inventory at the home, and for some reason that got wiped out, it's not going to devastate your day. It's okay, because I have this same inventory at my egress location. I have this inventory in, a lot of this inventory, the basics of it, in my bug out bag. I've cached a lot of food and stuff in my cache location. That's why I encourage hidden gardens and stuff. I don't ever encourage people to grow a regular garden, because if stuff hits the fan, the end of the world as we know it happens, people from the public are going to come to your garden and start looting it. So, but the average person doesn't know what carrots look like growing wild in the ground, especially amongst other plants. They're just going to walk right over it because they don't know botany. They don't know plant identification. So they're just going to walk right over your food, and when no one's looking, you can go and harvest your food. So I encourage hidden gardens, but, I really hope that you find the kindness in your heart to seek out a fundraiser to help with these people that have been struck with travesty over this big tornado that's hit the Midwest, like Kentucky and the other states. Find one that you believe in, that most of the money goes to the recipients that need it, that are victims. Some people are going to need donations for food and blankets and housing and shelter, and then some first responders are going to need donations to help get to the people that need. So just pick what you think represents what you want and spread your donation out if you need to, and just encourage other people to do donations to the charity. People got fundraisers out there. Just make sure that those fundraisers are legit and they're not scammy, because you know how people are. They'll go start a fundraiser, claim that they're going to give all this money over to a cause, and then they'll try to run out with it, and then later on they get arrested and charged and convicted, hopefully. There are people out there that will they're selfish. They try to benefit themselves. It's horrible, but they're out there. That's just a hard fact of reality. It's a sad one. So, but yeah, I just wanted to put something out here for all of you, so you feel like you've been talked to, so you've been coached, if you ever have questions about how to prepare, what to get, what's a good product, let me know. You can always hit me up in my social media platforms. Send me an email at daniel@daniel-shrrigley.com. You can hit me up on Facebook on my verified page in Messenger. I don't check my social media messages every day, but I check them a couple times a week. All right, so it might not get back to you within a matter of moments. It might be a day or two, but I will eventually get back to you because I got a lot I'm doing, a lot going on. But when I do get time to myself is usually when I go and do check the messages. You can always get me on LinkedIn in Messenger. I do kind of check that more frequently. You can message me at Survival Outside on Twitter. You can message me at Daniel Shrigley on Instagram in Messenger. You can leave a message for me in the chat feature of the show on Spreaker. But you should be able to reach me. So that will conclude this episode. I really hope that you walk away having gained, and I look forward to doing another show for you guys in the next couple days. All right. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hi, you're listening to Survival Talk Radio with me, your host, Dan Shrigley. Come and learn survival.